Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to learnmakeapp. And today we're going to create a table view with a custom cell. So basically, we are going to create this kind of screen. It is a view controller that has a table view and also a custom cell on it. So let's get started. Let's start with implementing this screen right here. So basically this is a view controller and it has a table view on the top of it with a custom cell, and it has a navigation controller in it. So let's go to the Xcode, and here we have a project here. Let's build it first, then we can see if the project is success or not. Alright, cool. So it's already succeed. This is a blank white screen right here. It's really the same as here. Let's stop here and let's try to add a table view to this view controller right here by clicking this library button and search about table view and drag and drop the table view to this screen right here. Place it nicely and select the table view. We want to add constraint, so go to the bottom of the screen right here and add new constraints. And I want to constrain this table view to left, top, right and bottom without any value, without any constants. So it will match the screens, whatever its size. Let's add the 4 constraints here and you will see that table view is working. Let's try to run and let's see what happened. Cool. Right now we already have a view controller that has a table view in it. But if we see the design right here, we also have the navigation controller, right? So it has a title here. Let's try to add the navigation controller by clicking this view controller right here and go up here in editor, embed in navigation controller. Right, so we already have a navigation bar right here in the navigation controller, but we want to add a title. So let's go here and make sure you click this navigation item, or here, open this bright pane here, and let's add a title. Let's say notes. Cool, we already have a title right here, but the title is small. What we want to achieve is a big title, a large title. So let's change the title by selecting the navigation bar in the navigation controller and select the previous large title in this attribute inspector. Let's build and run. Cool, now we already have a navigation controller with a large title. So next thing is we want to render the table view from the view controller, right? So what I want to do is renaming this file, the view controller, to the nodes view controller so it can represent very greatly. But I'm not going to rename this because sometimes Xcode gives me some error if we rename some files. I'm going to just delete the file and create a new one. Let's delete and let's create a new one. New file by selecting the Cocoa Touch class because we are doing touchscreen things, and let's search on the view controller. Let's name it as a nodes view controller. Right, let's delete unnecessary comments here. Cool, we already have a nodes view controller. So we want to connect this class .swift to the storyboard that we've just created. Let's go to the main storyboard and select this view controller and make sure that it connects to the class of nodes view controller by selecting this one, identity inspector, and choose the class that we've just created. And it's already connected. The next thing is we want to connect the table view here to the nodes view controller file so we can communicate with the table view. We can connect by clicking this nodes view controller with option key, right, and select the table view and control drag in here, and let's name a table view. If you're using a trackpad, then drag and control here and just rename it table view. Right, so let's close this editor and I want to focus on the nodes view controller. Right, so we already in the nodes view controller. Let's build and run. Right, so it runs without no problem. The next things that I want to implement is I want my nodes view controller has a behavior of a table view, right? So we need to confirm a table views protocol like UI table view data source, which provides data for the table, and UI table view delegate, which delegation of the table view. So these errors occurs because we haven't implemented the UI table view methods right here. So let's fix that by implementing the methods that necessary. And I'm going to cut this method and place it over here. So basically, these are two main methods of the UI table view data source. So the number of row in section method returns an integer. So basically, it will return how many cells that you want to render. I want to return 15, and in here, cell for row at index path returns a UI table view cell. So I'm going to make a cell from the table view. From here, I'm going to render or the queue cell with some ID cell at the position, and I'm going to return the cell. And to make sure it is working, I'm going to place the text label .text is equal to some title. So basically, UI table view cell already have some properties like text label or detail text label. I'm going to use text label right here, and let's try to add method from UI table view delegate, which is the height of row at, and I'm going to return the height of 84, and let's try to run. Right, nothing changed because if we see here, we already told the table view to do these certain things, but we haven't connect our table view to this protocol implementation. So we need to connect our table view to the delegate and data source so we can run this command. Let's connect the table view by using TableView.data source is equal to self, which is the nodes view controller, because it is already implement this one, and also the delegate. Let's run again. If you see here, this crash basically tells us that the Xcode don't know which cell that has ID of cell, and we must register a name or class for this cell, right? So what we want to do right now is register a cell, right? So I'm going to register a cell to the table view. I'm going to use this method here in the top, cell class, any class, because I want to use the default UI table view cell class, and I'm going to register the ID cell right here. Let's run. Cool. Right now we already have a basic table view cell right here, so it is working. But the problem is we don't want this kind of design. What we want to achieve is this cell design, so we need to add a different custom cell. Let's try to add it by clicking here and click element nodes and right click and new file. I'm going to create a cockatouch class again, which right now is a derivative from UI table view cell, and I'm going to name it as node cell. Also, I'm going to check the xib file since we are going to create this using the interface builder file. Right, if you see here, you will get the node cell.swift and also the xib file. So basically, this is the interface builder file, and we are going to design right here. So let's try to change some design right here. I'm going to change the row height is equal to 84, also in here, and I'm going to place two labels, right? I'm going to place it in here and make sure it fits the screen by using the constraint left, right 16, and also top also 16. Cool. I'm going to create another label right here and make sure the constraint works. I'm going to place the constraint right here, 16 from left, 16 from right, top by 4 points. Right, cool. I'm going to give the text like title and this a content. I'm going to change the typography, make it a little bit bold here, semi bold, and going to change the color to the secondary label color. Cool, we already have the cell. So the next thing is you want to connect this cell to the view controller, right? If you see this view controller, a cell must have an ID. So we need an ID for this new cell. So go back to the node cell.xib, click the cell itself, and go to this attribute inspector, and we are going to add the identifier, right? I'm going to add a node cell as the ID, just to make sure it's the same name right here. And I'm going to add the ID to the Swift file so we can use it in code. Cell ID is equal to node cell, also the height, CG float of 84. Okay, let's go back to the nodes view controller and let's see if we can register the cell. Right now we're going to use this method with nib because we are using this file, right? node.xib. So just use this, and we need to create our nib by making the instance of it UI nib with the name of this name, node cell, and with the bundle of main, and I'm going to pass this object here with the ID of node cell .cellID that I just created before. And I'm going to render here the cell with the ID of node cell.cellID, right? Let's delete this one, and here height for at index path, I'm going to use the node cell.height. Okay, let's run here. Right, so we already customized cell, right? So it's run smoothly. Okay, so the next thing is what will happen if we want to change the title right here. Yes, we can by changing right here. Go to the node cell and make sure you click the node cell.swift with option, right? And let's connect the label here. Let's name it the title label, and also the content as content label, right? And let's go back to our nodes view controller right here, and right now we're going to access the content label and the title label, right? If you type here, you won't be able to use the title label or the content label because our cell type is still UI TableView cell, but what we need is a node cell right here, right? So we need to cast as a node cell. If you type cell right here, you will see that this cell type is node cell, and we can use the title label. The text is equal to title at row from index path dot row from this index path, and the content label, the text is equal to content at row index path dot row. Let's build and run. Perfect. We already connect the TableView and pass the data and change the data while rendering the cell, right? So right here I want to do a little bit refactoring for this view controller. So this view controller do some things right here in this method. Let's first delete unused command here, and this view did load did two things, right? The setting the TableView and setting the TableView cell, right? Why don't we create a function so it will group nicely? I'm going to call the setup TableView here, and I'm going to also make another function for this. Right? Let's build and run. Right, it's still working. Another refactoring that we can do is by grouping this, the table view data source and delegate. So why don't we separate this one to another scope and this one to another scope. Let's create that using extension for our nodes view controller that conforms or implement of the UI table view data source. And let's move our data source. Let's try to move our UI table view delegate implementation to our extension here. And so we don't really need this one, right? So let's build and run. Cool, still working. Let's go back to this nodes view controller, select all of this and hit Ctrl+I to reformat it, right? And I'm going to create another special command here. So basically it will add a section mark of UI table view data source and mark of UI table view delegate. So if we use this, it will gives us a nice separation here and here, and also you can have a nice separation right here because we did using a mark, right? So we can jump to this, or we can jump to this delegate, and it is very nice feature of Xcode. Let's build and run. And yes, it is still working. So we already learned about how to make simple table view here, and see you in the next video.